back with City Life, and we're still with Jill Darcey from the Complex Family Foundation.
Let's look at routines.
Routines, the biggie that people go to court for. This is one of the top reasons that people do it. And really, if I can look at routines, I've got a mother with 2 children. Strangely enough, the father doesn't want one boy, but wants the other boy. Oh. So really hard, because, you know, then how do you rule in a court scenario on what's fair and how you do this? As soon as people start going to court, there's an air of threat. You know, you can imagine getting a letter from your lawyer that says, I want you to start justifying why you deserve this child or why you don't want this child. You know, it's really hard, you know, because we've all got self-doubts. We're parents and we think, oh, we could have done that better. That's just normal parenting. And when you've got to prepare a case to go to court about whether you should have your child or whether you shouldn't, that's really intimidating for a parent. So I highly suggest that people take a step back and start thinking your routine is so important. It's important for the children to have a good experience, because bottom line, with a routine, the children don't remember what the routine is. They remember the atmosphere that was at handovers and whether mum and dad were fighting for 10 years or whether it was debilitating with family events. So back to the mother with the 2 boys where one won't go and one is allowed to go. We've had to sit down and work through her anger towards that double standard, because actually she's the one that's been fueling the anger with the ex, because it's like, how dare you do that with my boys? Understandable, justified completely, but it's not going to solve her routine problem. So then it's sitting there and saying, okay, what is a characteristic of a good routine? And I've got 4 things for parents to look at. So if you're in this situation, you can start looking at how you can construct a routine that's going to work for both parents, provided it falls into these 4 top characteristics. So the top one is that it's consistent. Okay. It's easy to remember in the way that you can put it into an Outlook calendar and it can just roll out for the next 2 years, so you can book your holidays or you can plan your family events and all that, so it's consistent. That's a really top one.
Okay.
Second point is not too long between handovers. Now, sometimes we can't avoid this, and especially like in Christchurch at the moment with families that one parent's having to move out, you can't avoid how long these sorts of handovers are going to be. But make sure that there are that time where they can go and see their other parent, because that's really important that both parents are in the children's lives. The third one is not that people aren't chopping and changing all the time, so that they're in a place long enough that they get that sense of, oh, I'm home. Because it's really hard for kids. They get what I call dump and dash, and it's where they run in, they dump their bags down, they get entertained, they're hyped up, and then it's kind of like, oh, come on, you've got to go off to dad. So they've got to pack up, and off they go out the door again. And they never get that sort of sense of normality of like, oh, you know, I'm just going to put my feet up and kick back for a while. And what that does is it saps natural childhood enthusiasm to keep going and be adventurous and sort of a lot of initiative, because they don't have that downtime. So that's a really important one. And the final one, the 4th on top of that, is flexibility. And it means that, let's say their dad rings up and says, Nana's just arrived in the country, Nana and Papa would love to see you, can I have you tonight? Instead of being, I'm sorry, but it's my night and you can't have the children, you sit there and go, of course you can. They're your Nana and Papa, you haven't seen them for 6 months, off you go. And then it's really special to the children and it's really special to the family. And so that's the crux of it. You know, a routine with a bit of flexibility is fantastic.
All right. Jill, we've got one more thing to discuss, which is money, one of the biggest issues when it comes to divorce. But we'll chat about that after the break, when we also talk about children in a divorce. We'll be back soon.